Okay? Now, I prayed over those prayer requests, and I still pray over them, but I prayed over those prayer requests so much that it got into my system, and it caused the capillaries, the little tiny blood vessels, to swell in my brain, and I had 2 small strokes in my brain that brought about some numbness in my body. One of the doctors told me, if I told you his name, you would recognize that it's a very famous doctor, told me that I should not work nor preach for, how long, Murray, did he say? Was it a year or 2 years? 1 year, to let the stress, because of the demands of the ministry and what these chemicals had done to my system, that I should not do anything but lay around and get rehabilitated and all this stuff. Well, you know me. I am just total energy. I am so excited about life and the real Jesus Christ that's standing up in these last days that it's just hard for me to slow down. They said, well, if you won't, how can I stop with an 8,000-member church? How can I stop with one of the largest television ministries in the world with large staff? Okay, we have over 800 staff people depending on me and this organization and God for their salaries. I mean, the impact that we're making, we're trying to put something positive into this country, accentuate the positive, instead of what a lot of the press does, accentuating the negative. We're trying to say, yeah, there's problems, but God can solve problems. And I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I am not a poverty preacher. I am a prosperity preacher. Yeah, and I want to tell you something. I have a nice home and I have a nice car. Yep, and I have a boat that I bought and paid for with money that I've paid taxes on from a salary that was set by an outside, independent, expert IRS witness organization, the best in the nation, was sought out, so that Marty and I nor our board would be setting our salaries. We buy no clothes. We pay for our own laundries. You know, we buy our own cars and gasoline. We just don't do perks, okay? And I'm not going to be on any preachers that do that. But I don't know what the other preachers that were on the program do. I am not accountable for what those fellows do. I know that they were tricked and all of that sort of stuff, but I'm talking just about us. But anyway, so you know what Marty and I and our kids did? We went to California, where the air was clear, right on the water, to where I could begin to breathe and get myself rejuvenated and continue to do some daily television programs. Yes, the church bought a nice parsonage out there. You should remember that for years I built and sold and designed homes. I can build and design and sell houses in my sleep. We saw a house. It was under construction, and it was built. It cost $1.8 million. Blew us away, but California in those days was extremely high prices. And it's all legal, and there is nothing wrong with it, okay? I have done nothing illegal. You say, well, you shouldn't have it. Listen, Marty and I have sold, Diane Sawyer, Ole Anthony, those people do not want you to know the things that we do. Ole Anthony was personally told of several of the things that we have done to help kids in our hospital in Mexico. That is there, by the way, that they have seen, but they wouldn't put it on television, okay? They checked out our 12 children's schools with nearly 4,000 kids, 3,800 to 4,000 kids, that we provide food and the shelter and doctors and nurses. We have like 5 or 6 doctors, nurses, and dentists on our payroll that we pay. There is an orphanage in Haiti that we have been supporting for years. I think it's $1,500 and then $1,000 to the Sullivans that run that orphanage. It's there. If they couldn't find it, they weren't looking for it, okay? It get me riled up. I mean, you know, I cannot believe how these people lied and think that they can get by with it. Get by with it. Anyway, so Marty and I designed this house. And what happened after it was built, people started coming and saying that the house was worth 3 times what we paid for it, and the builder even tried to buy it back. So it became an investment for the ministry. Hey, I believe in the 100-fold return. We sold our house when we first went in the ministry for the first home that Marty and I ever bought. I said, God just spoke to me and going to the ministry. I told her, she starts crying. She goes in the bathroom, slams the door, is crying in the bathroom, and the Lord spoke to her, Mark 10:29, those that have given up houses, lands, and cattle shall receive now in this life a 100-fold return with persecution. We'd never heard that scripture before 17 years ago when we went into the ministry full time. Then we bought a home when we came here to Dallas. And to start the church here in Dallas, it's probably the largest church, maybe it should be, I don't know, they say it is, the largest church in the Metroplex at this time in Dallas. I mean, it's thousands. All of our books and tapes are free. We don't have everything is given away. You know that. You folks know that millions of dollars of books and tapes are given away by the tons here in Dallas, and our publishing plants, Free Literature in Mexico, our publishing plant that we just finished building in South Africa. Anyway, we went to California, and I rejuvenated. In a couple of years, God spoke to us, said, come back to Dallas. Well, that's already after it hit the fan about the house, and it said that in California. Said, well, we'll come back to Dallas, and we'll just get a smaller home, and we won't, you know, smaller. It's still a nice home we have. But we said, this house is too big, and it really is, and we'll just get something smaller. And it's not like the ministry was in debt. It wasn't like the ministry didn't have any money. You know, it's one thing for the ministry to be in debt and owing every bill collector in America and the preacher buying things. But this ministry, everything is paid for. Everything we're doing. You know, they said that our missions budgets, our billboards cost more than our missions. They don't know what we spend on missions. One crusade nearly costs us. One crusade, international crusade that we do 2 to 3 a year, nearly cost more than our billboards. You know, how can they? They don't know what we spend in our hospital in Mexico. They don't know what we spent to build that entire compound and all the Bible schools in the different parts. They don't know what we spend to these different things. You know, it just absolutely amazes me. But anyway, we came back to Dallas and rented a house. Well, we sold, then the second home we bought, we sold it, and I think the first house we sold, we put totally into the ministry, all of it, was about like $10,000. Then the second house we bought, we sold it for the building program because it was really having a hard time about 10 years ago, and we sold that, and I think that was like $30,000. And then we sold another home we had, we sold it, and put it into the gospel, and I think that was over $200,000. We've sold 3 houses. How many has these reporters sold and put into the gospel? They don't know what the TV time cost. They have all those commercials. This television time is absolutely expensive. They don't know how much TV time we have. They didn't know what's the size of the staff we have. They don't know what we pay our staff. We pay our people well. That's why we very seldom ever have anybody quit this organization. Oh, you're going to have some employees that shouldn't have been hired to begin with. They're just devils, and they should have been fired, that get disgruntled. Any organization this size, and any kind of organization, secular or Christian, is going to have disgruntled employees that will just... That college guy, some guy came on with a hidden face, wouldn't show his face, said that he was a college buddy, and how he and I used to scheme and plot about how we were going to be big tent preachers and con the people. I never heard of that in my life. I never even thought about preaching in college. All I thought about was going to the Tahoka Strip at Texas Tech where all the beer joints were. I never heard anything about that guy. I says, what in the world? That was a total fabricated lie. And those prayer requests in the Dipsy dumpster, that had to be somebody stole those prayer requests and put them in the dumpster just to shoot that picture. No prayer request is ever thrown in a dumpster, and if it has been, it's been stolen and set up there just for photography. Well, you're just saying that. No, I'm not. I am here before God, and I'm not going to hell for no man. I am here before God. My wife and I are as honest as the day is long, and probably the cleanest and most honest organization possible in the ministry today. Go to the extremes, making sure we dot every I and cross every T. How many preachers have had somebody outside the organization set their salary and determine what they should be paid? And you know, I don't care if the IRS, we have no problems with the IRS. We have no problems with any of the organizations. That's who we are accountable to, and our bill collectors. We don't have one subcontractor that has not been paid, that has not been given. We're not like some preachers, and I'm not going to get on their cases, that leave a chain of bills a mile long and then scream accountability and hadn't paid any of their bills. My God, let's get real. Accountability is to God, it's to your bill collectors, and it's to your fellow man. Not accountable to some organization that doesn't believe what you believe. It's a camouflage. Man, these religious people running around saying all these holier-than-thou words, knowing that Jesus said, you whiten sepulchres, you whiten mausoleums, you on the outside, you just look so holy and pretty and clean, but on the inside, you're full of dead men's bones. Believe me. The devil thought he killed Jesus, but God raised him from the dead. You can't keep a good man down. And though the righteous fall 7 times, the Lord will raise him up every time. So I got better physically. I got back into the natural things and so forth and got healed. I kept preaching. I kept working in California. I kept doing the television program. You know that. You saw it. And God continued to bless. But I tried to force myself to settle down and not be so wild and jumping around and doing all these things and so forth. And we just got everything under control. And I got a great marriage, happy kids making great grades in college. And you know, I mean, our families together, and we're blessing the world, people. I mean, we are blessing the world. Now, if you sent a donation in thinking you were buying a miracle, get real. You don't buy a miracle. I teach worshiping God for your tithes and offerings, and it says that every time somebody came to God and wanted something, they worshiped him through their giving. Okay, now,